What's going on, guys, and welcome back for another spoiler recap here at Big Gold Belt Media. I'm Cam. Down bottom, we've got Stevie, and over here on my left, we got Damian G. Guys, we are here to talk about Invincible Season 3, Episode 1, 2, and 3, that is premiering February 6th, only on Prime Video. I'm excited. Are you guys excited about this one? This was crazy, I think. Let's jump right into it, actually, and let's give a basis of what did you think of these first 3 episodes, just holistically. I'll start with you, Stevie.
I think these episodes were really, really good. I'm excited to see how it is going forward. I feel like this season is going to be way more dramatic and darker than the other seasons probably were. And it's just cool to see everybody kind of like growing from season 2 and just dealing with the stuff from season 2 and growing. Like Debbie, I feel like she's grown from season 2 a lot, so it's really cool to see that stuff happening.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. What do you think, Damien?
Same. The growth from season 2 to now, I like this season better than season 2 already, so that says a lot. If y'all watched our non-spoiler, I gave it an 8, but it's growing on me now that I've had time to let it sink in and develop. And yeah, shout out to Debbie, because she's like my undercover MVP of the show.
I also like that they're fleshing out characters more. I like that a lot too.
Yeah, we got backstories
side
now.
characters.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely something I think that they did a really great job on, is because they focus on Invincible as the main, source or resource in the show, but they're also giving us, the purposes of why these people are this way, which we didn't have before. But I mean, as you know, I gave it an 8.5. So I really, really like the show so far. I will say these episodes, maybe because we watched it late at night, seem very, very lengthy.
Yes.
I was tired. Maybe that's why. But I'm like, man, what? I mean, shout out to Prime Video for stepping it up and giving us longer episodes. That's what everybody complains about. That, episodes aren't long enough anytime they watch a show. But this one definitely gives you a little bit of everything. They don't leave out any details at all. So I mean, this episode starts out where we see our likely hero, Mark, aka Invincible, is testing out his new strengths. Previously, I guess season 2 recap, you'll have to catch that in our recap that we did last year for it. But he's just trying to deal with the fact that he'd finished fighting, was it Angstrom Levy, I believe, right? Yes. And barely survived it, but now he's basically trying to power up, because we all know that the Viltrumites are eventually going to come back to Earth. A promise that was given to him by Anissa in season 2, we saw briefly. And I'm surprised we didn't see her in these first 3 episodes, to be honest with you, because I feel like she was such a pivotal character, but I feel like they are holding on to something. It's going to be a crazy fight scene whenever we get to it. Just a little information about how much improved Mark has gotten now. I mean, I did take some notes on this part, because they did say that his speed went up to 70%, and I think his strength increased by 130%. They had him lifting up icebergs. That was the heaviest thing that they could find for the dude to lift, which is insane. What do you guys think? Do you think that this newfound strength is going to be enough for Mark going forward? I'll start with you, Damien.
I think physically, for superpowers, superheroing, sure, but I don't think it's going to help the real issue with Mark, his mental. My man was lifting, like you said, icebergs, tanker liners. This man is on the super soldier serum type workout plan. And he even references it that, Cecil's got me on this exercise program. No kidding. You're lifting up icebergs, but to prepare himself for the Viltrumites, yes. Any kind of physical attack. And we see it later in these first 3 episodes, the improvements and what they show when he's fighting other people. But yeah, he's getting ready for that invasion.
Yeah, what do you think, Stevie?
I do think that he's going to be ready for the I can't pronounce their names.
Viltrumites.
Wait, what is it?
Viltrumites.
I'm sorry. I get such problems pronouncing their name. But I do think it's going to help with them, but I also think it will be bad for like you said, his mental, and also he does do regular crime fighting stuff. So it's like, you know, like they're like he's too strong, I feel like, for some people. And we'll see that later. We'll talk about that later, but he's too strong for some people, and I feel like that could backfire in some way. Like, and he could really do some damage to just like regular people.
And we see that.
Yeah. It you know, the episode definitely kind of, I mean, it didn't confuse me, but there's like moments where like Mark is just getting it handed to him, you know, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, bro, we just talked about your stats, like you should be good. And then he's getting worked, you know, later on in the episode, we'll talk about it. But I'm like, I'm a little confused, you know. I mean, maybe I don't have power, so I don't know how powers work. Maybe they're just like not as good as I thought they were. So I don't know. I mean, but I think it's funny that they do, like you said, they send him on these like regular missions. Like, for example, the first mission we see him go on is with Rex because someone's stealing the Declaration of Independence, right? I mean, it's a national treasure, right? And for an archive, and somebody stealing it. So you gotta find it, right? You gotta get it back. Who were those dudes he was fighting? I never got a name for them.
Me either.
I don't know.
From the future. Two twins from the future. And they literally, I don't think they even said each other's names, to be honest with you, but they just started throwing hands, and they obviously were no match for Mark or Rex. I mean, they probably couldn't. Well, they were beating up Rex, I think, right? Rex.
Yeah, that was the copies that were beating up on Rex.
Yeah, he. I mean, he don't have. You know, they actually remind me of the Molars, though. You know, because they were two twins, but they just weren't blue at this.
Yeah.
So, which was like, oh, weird. They twins. Whoever wrote this doesn't like twins. They want twins to be evil and just take over the world. So they're getting into this fight scene, and then we get introduced to a brand new character that we've never seen, named Multipole, which is playing off the, you know,
dumb name.
It's so annoying because the duplicate in Multipole is Duplicate's brother. Oh my god, that just sounds so confusing saying it out loud. A lot of math going on here, but and he obviously has the same exact power as his sister. So he shows up because for some reason he blames Rex for the death of his sister because she's never come out since she's been hiding with the immortal that we saw in the last season, and told her family and friends that, hey, I'm not dead, I'm alive, you know. So Multipole decides to multiply itself and beat the crap out of Rex while Invincible is distracted, and it gets into this, well, it turns into this whole family reunion thing because I don't know how they knew. How did they even know that Multipole was out there working Rex? You know, maybe I got too many questions. That's my problem. I asked too many damn questions. But what did you guys think now that, or where do you think it's going to go now that Kate is back or adding herself back in the equation of the superhero life? I'll start with you, Stephanie.
With Kate, I'm not entirely sure. Like, I feel like whatever she does, she's going to side with the immortal because she's in love with him. And we do see that later. So I feel like that she will do whatever she thinks is right because he thinks that. I feel like that way. I didn't finish season 2 really, so I'm not quite sure. I was surprised when she came back because I didn't know she died. She was dead in season 2. So when I saw her come back, I was like, oh shit, she's back. Okay, cool. Like, you know, so that did surprise me. But I just think she's just gonna do what they say, like what he follows along with.
She's just gonna go along with it. What do you think, Damien?
I'll say the inverse. I'll say whatever she wants, Immortal's going to do because now she got the ring on the finger.
That is true. That is true.
Okay, I didn't think of it that way. Okay.
Yeah, so honestly, it's one of those things because remember, his nostrils are so wide open for Kate. When he found out last season she came back, it's almost like he jizzed on himself like instantaneously. So just imagine now that she's got the ring on her finger, which he forged apparently in the power of the sun or whatever. And later in episode 2 or 3, we see the power of that, pun unintended, of love and commitment and siding with your betrothed versus siding with other people you may love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was funny how like he, like you said, he like went and used the power of the sun to create this ring. Nobody cared about that. And he tried to like give a whole spill. And I think Monster Girl was like, yeah. So you're engaged.
She just wants to see the rock.
Nobody cares about all that. Nobody want to hear your whole like, I use my powers to. How many carats is it, bro? That's all we need to know right now. We don't care. Is it gold? Is it plat? What is this? I was like, oh, that's funny. That's super funny. But after we get through that scene and we see that multiple, essentially he attacked Rex and he committed a crime. So we see right here that Mark is very steadfast on his beliefs that if you do a crime, you got to do the time, and that plays out a big part of these next 3 episodes, because we see that just because you go to jail doesn't mean you're going to stay there, which I thought was odd, but kind of wild as well. So, and then we kind of kick back and we get to see exactly what's going on, not in just Mark's life, but we get to see what's going on with Debbie as well as Oliver. Oliver has grown so much since the last season. I mean, I don't know how much time has elapsed. Have they said? I think it was like, I think maybe only like a year, right? Or a couple months. I mean, from the last episode of season 2 to now, right? Yeah, it had to be months.
A few months.
Because, yes, because now Oliver is around what, like 12, I think, or 11? He might be a little younger than that, matter of fact.
He seems young.
Because I think he said something like, I didn't get my powers till I was 17. And I believe Oliver was only like 8 at the time, I think, when they were talking about
But remember, when we saw him last season, he was a baby.
Yeah, he was a baby. Yeah, he couldn't even talk at all.
And he could talk.
He could talk. Yeah, he would. Yeah, he said mom, I think, a couple times. That's right. Yeah, which I think is, I mean, it's so crazy. And then they actually reveal to us that once he hits puberty, his sped up growth will actually slow down. So he'll start to get older at a lot slower rate, which I thought was good, because I was like, he's gonna die before Debbie dies. You know what I'm saying? No spoilers for the comic. But eventually, I was like, oh man, that's crazy. Like that's wild. But then we kind of like peek back and we get to see exactly what's going on, because I believe there's like seismic activity going on in the Invincible universe. And what is the agent's name? The glass Donald, right? So Donald is like, he's like monitoring the seismic activity that's happening everywhere, because they know what is the Dr. Seismic, which is, well, that's weird. I just said seismic.
Fake Magneto.
Yep, fake Magneto with gauntlet hands and no hair. He's creating something. They're like, all right, well, he's locked up, so it can't be him. And then the seismic activity continues and it starts to get stronger. And eventually the Guardians base is attacked, and all of the Guardians and all of the superheroes all over the world are captured. No one knows what's going on. Of course, what the hell is my man's name as well? Cecil. There you go. Cecil is saying that, okay, there's only 2 superheroes left in the world, and it happens to be Mark and Eve. And we all know why it was Mark and Eve, because they happen to be the only ones not in a base location. Mark decided, you know what? Maybe I need to go and confess my love to her. Mark is the only person I know that can confess love and then fumble the bag at the same time. That is wild to me. That is wild. He had it. And then he's the only person that can trip his own self in this instance. What did you think, Damien, when you saw Mark just blabbering too much?
Because y'all information. Man, first off, y'all know what I said in the group chat. I said, Mark, shut up. Because he even asked his best friend and his boyfriend advice on how to do this when they all went out bowling. Hey, should I tell Eve about her? I met her future self and she was the one that told me to make a move. They're like, no, please don't. Please don't. What does he do? Because he doesn't want to keep secrets. He just word vomits all over the place. When he had it in the bag, she was saying yes, she wanted to date him.
There's a time and
Only
place.
because Future said so, not because you want to. Like, all right, Mark,
Right.
you dug your own grave.
Right. What did you think, Stevie?
I feel like there's a time and place to do that type of stuff, and I don't think that was the time. Like, just worry about getting the girl first, and then if you want to be honest, like, because I get it, you want to be honest in a relationship. I totally get it. You know, you want to tell the truth, but you do that later. Like you did. This is now not the time. You're just starting out. You know.
Yeah.
No. I did not understand that at all.
Yeah.
But I get where he was going. He was trying to be honest.
Yeah, he had good intentions, or I would say his conscience had the good intentions, and it just kind of spilled out. Him and Immortal probably need to take a dating class, because both of them are just a little goofy at the same time. And I'm like, you know what? You guys are just messing up. I mean, but hopefully it'll work out for him. We'll get to that a little later on. But yeah, so at this point, all of the superheroes are abducted, and before they can finish this conversation between Mark and Eve about what he meant, something obviously comes up, and Dr. Seismic has taken over, and they've dug into this like underground layer where has now like these giant centipedes that are like, they seem indestructible, to be honest with you, because they weren't getting bodied at all, which I thought was wild. And then also the lava monsters are back as well. So how is he talking to them? Like, was he using like his hand raise? I think, because I don't remember
Seismic vibrations.
Okay, that's
what I thought.
He's a dolphin. He's
talking to the Earth's core. He's communicating.
Languages. He's like, that's wild. So of course, you know, they get the call, and Oliver, you know, wants to help, and they're like, "Hey, Oliver, you gotta chill." No, like it's not gonna happen, right? And earlier in the episode, I thought was funny because Oliver and Mark were talking, not to skip around, but Mark said, "Once you get your powers, I'll take you out and I'll teach you how to do stuff." And Oliver was like, "Do you promise?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he threw him the ball, and Oliver flew and caught the ball. And he was like, "You promised?" And I was like, "Little asshole kids, damn it, you got him again." I said, Mark, this is the day Mark, it must have been April Fools in the universe, because they're just getting Mark left and right. Like, he's walking into things, and I'm like, damn, this is getting crazy. But yes, all right, so the seismic waves are going on under Earth, and now all the superheroes are in these like egg cocoons, I'm guessing were created by the centipedes, and they're slowly about to get crushed and killed. And this is Seismic's way of getting back at the world. He's going to take over once they're all gone. And Mark and Eve try their best. That's why I was like confused by his strength, because I'm watching him fight, and then I'm watching these centipedes beat his ass. Like, he was getting crushed. And I'm like, that is not an iceberg, dude. That's a centipede. Like, you should be okay. You should be okay. When you guys were watching this fight scene, were you impressed, or did you feel like Mark was still kind of holding back? I'll start with you, Stevie.
See, I don't know, because I agree with you sometimes on the fights don't seem consistent, because he seems like he's really strong, but then he also gets his ass kicked a lot. So I don't know if he was holding back. I know that was a thing in season 2 where I felt like he was holding back because he didn't want to kill anybody or anything like that, especially like on the planet where his brother comes from. And you know, Man's like, you're holding back still, like these things are trying to kill you, just go get loose. So I have no idea if he's holding back, or is he really that still not ready. You know,
he's not done.
Yeah, exactly. So that I'm not entirely sure about, but I mean, like, yeah, no, I don't know. It's a little weird.
That's strange. What do you think, Damien?
I think he's still holding back because he's still dealing with the ramifications of killing a man last season. When he tried to walk that line of, you know, trying to hold back his powers. But what came out of that during the episode is the first hints of his aggression, his Viltrumite side taking over, because he don't hold back when he's mad. But when he's trying to like tiptoe in the garden, like, oh, let me not hurt these bugs and whatnot, he held back, and then he got bodied. So we get to see the dichotomy of man almost in this situation, where on one hand he's trying to be the good hero, on the other hand he got a temper, and that's on display.
He does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does he fight better when Eve gets hurt?
Yeah, when he has to protect somebody, I think that's when he goes crazy.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't remember that.
Yeah. It's like he doesn't lose his morals, but he does become closer to a Viltrumite than anything we've seen before. Once, someone he cares about or his family is in danger, then it seems like he turns it up a notch. But it feels like, I don't know, maybe like you said, like that part of him that, is still remorseful for killing it's not D.A. Sinclair.
Angstrom.
These names are Langstrom. I don't know why that's so complicated to me. They're very in depth. All the names are very in depth. They seem very like they've written a book. I'm like, damn, Angstrom.
Everybody's got to be
that one. Gotta check that out for the library. But yeah, so I'm just like, I feel like he probably still is holding back. And
I wasn't thinking that because I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking that because this was like a monster. Yeah. Like maybe if it was another guy, maybe I could have seen him holding back, but I don't know. I didn't think that way because he's fighting like a monster creature. Yeah. Sorry.
And I think I only thought that because I just thought that maybe he doesn't want to lose himself in his anger, like his dad can, and he's still trying to keep himself from. Or trying to keep the essence of being more of a human than a Viltrumite, so he doesn't want to fully wow out. He feels like if he goes across that line, then he'll be like the other Invincibles from the other universes that we got to see in season 2. Okay. So trying to keep some of that humanity, I guess. Forget that, man. Beat him up. So that's what I would say. But like, get these bugs out of here. But yeah, so I mean, Eve and him are damn near dead at this point, and Cecil decides I gotta step in and I gotta send in, I wouldn't even call them big guns, but I guess like annoying robots,
hired guns,
or hypnotized guns that I stole from a madman. And the robots / zombie creations that D.A. Sinclair created in season 1, that Mark's best friend's boyfriend almost turned into, he has a whole army of them now. And he decides to send them in to help. And when Mark sees this, he's like, yo, what is going on? Like, whoa, like things aren't black and white anymore. He realizes there's a crazy gray area that Cecil works under. And a lot of people told him, don't trust Cecil. And this is what you get. When you trust the guy you think is your friend, usually ends up being someone that you need to fear at the end of the day. And then along with that, Mark ended up putting Darkwing in prison in season 2, and now Darkwing is now working, or what do you call himself? Darkwing 2.0? I think he calls it Darkwing 2.0 or something like that, or Darkwing 2. Like something weird, right? I was like, you're not a machine. That's weird. What does it say about yourself? And he joins in the fight, and he ends up taking Dr. Seismic and pulling him underground with his power to put him into the, what is it called? The void, or the void zone, or something like that.
We'll just call it the void at this point.
I think it's called the void, yeah. And he pulls him in there, and he ends up leaving him. I think he left him in the void. I don't remember him taking him out after that, or either he took him out and he was like unconscious. That can happen to you, I guess, if you go into the void. And now that there's no type of seismic vibrations or no way to communicate with the lava monsters or the centipedes, they all disband and disappear, and they're able to save the day from a villain on their side. When you guys saw that Cecil is willing to cross the line to get the job done, what did you think? And what do you think this means going forward for Cecil? I'll start with you, Damien.
He is who we thought he was, which is almost like Amanda Waller type character, where protect the world at all costs, working in, as you said, those shades of gray. We saw this last season when he tried to recruit Oliver, when he was brought to Earth, like, hey, we got to keep an eye on this kid because, he's part Viltrumite. He's got some powers potentially. Yeah. He might. Yep. And then when Anissa's showing up, so he has to get the world ready and be able to defend the world. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. in this case with the Reanimen and with Darkwing 2, and he talks about it later in the episode about the power of rehabilitation. I'm not surprised he did this, because this is remember last season, he didn't tell Donald died over 472 times. And so I'm not surprised that Cecil is pulling a Nick Fury and not telling anybody. So he is who I thought he was.
Yeah, it's insane. What about you, Stevie?
Yeah, I think they're setting something up. And I kind of picked up on this when I was watching like the later episodes, and I could bring it up when we get to those points. It's like I feel like they're setting like a conflict with him.
Yeah.
And things like that, with this gray area that they're trying to do. Because I agree with what Damien said too. It's like I don't I expect this out of him, because I always looked at him as like a Nick Fury or like an Amanda Waller type character that just wants to do whatever it takes to save the day, I guess, in a sense. And I think that's like going to be a theme of like this whole season. Like it's that gray area, you know, of what would you do to save the world,
right?
I feel like that's something that we're gonna look out for.
Yeah, it definitely seems like like you said, the theme is like what would you do to save the world, and like what line is uncrossable, you know, at this point, because it just seems like for Cecil there isn't one. So but he does seem like he reminds me more of Batman than Darkwing, to be honest with you, because the dude's contingency plan list is pretty lengthy, to be honest with you. I mean, we've just seen like tip of the iceberg, but I feel like he's definitely got some more stuff in his back pocket that he's probably obtained over the years of being the director of their organization. And that's just a theory I thought about earlier today, because like there was a whole thing where in season 2 where they were learning about the books that what's it called, that Omni-Man had kept, that his son was actually reading, and he thought like, oh, these are just books and stories that my dad used to tell me as a kid, when actually they were like mission logs from Viltrumites. So all the weapons that he discussed in these books, what if Cecil got a hold of one of these books later on and found out about these weapons that can actually probably kill Viltrumites, you know? Watch out, Mark. It's not your boy. But after that, Mark decides to confront Cecil, because, you know, he's kind of torn up by the fact that he's working with D.A. Sinclair, that's creating these robots or zombies after what they did to his best friend's boyfriend. So he just sees it as, you know, the morals are just all screwed up. And as they're having a conversation, Cecil's just quietly walking through the halls, and Mark is like falling behind him, screaming at him. And slowly they end up in this white room. And Mark says, hey, why'd you bring me back here? And he's like, Mark, calm down. I'm like, I'm like, get out of there, bro. That's one thing. I'm like, you messed up. I was like, because you don't know nothing about that white room, and it don't look like it has any doors. So I would have been lost. And then Mark's like, no, like, I'm not going to calm down. And then eventually, here come the zombies. They start pulling up. They start throwing hands, and Mark is just getting worked. He's just getting worked. And once again, how strong are you, bro? Maybe Cecil knows how strong he is, and he's like, you know what? I know what level to put them at to be able to take you down. You know, this goes back to our question earlier, though. Like, when you saw this scene and you saw what was happening to Mark, did you feel like? I'm pretty sure you didn't feel like, all right, this is the end of Invincible, or did you think possibly Cecil could put him under his control for it as well? I'll start with you, Steve.
I think he does. I definitely think he's using these robots as like a way to like count, like to stop him. I kind of got like the same vibe of like The Boys, where it's like they're trying to find something that could beat oh god, what the frick is his name? I forgot his name again. Oh my god.
Invincible, or which one?
No, in The Boys, the one that they're always trying to beat. I don't know why it's that they're trying to kill. Homelander. Yeah, like they're trying to they're trying to find like something that could protect themselves against Invincible, because he is really strong at the end of the day, and his dad is Omni-Man, so it's like they're trying to have like these precautions just in case if he also goes like that route.
Right.
Like they have a way to stop him. So that's what I got from that white room and like the robots and stuff like that. And also I think that was in the next episode, but like I feel like he's scared of Mark somewhat, and I think he says that in the later episode. And it also, like, I could like him acting like that, I could see that being like a conflict, because I think in season 2 he was like, you know, no matter how violent you are, you're nothing like your dad. Like I think he tells that to Mark. And like, and I feel like Mark seeing that, like, okay, he's taking all these precautions against me, it's like I feel like he can't trust him in the sense, or maybe he does feel that way about him, like to be scared of him, or he is just like his dad. So I feel like that he might feel some type of way about that.
Yeah, same. What do you think, Damien?
When he went into the white room, I said, oh, it's on now. And we knew Cecil always has a contingency plan, to your point, right? So I was actually interested to see what the contingency was for Invincible, not just the Animen, because think about it this way. Mark tried to kill Cecil because Cecil wouldn't listen to Mark.
Right.
Mark let his emotions get the better of him, which we've already discussed. His emotions are somewhat tied to his powers. He gets stronger as the angrier he gets, like, or to protect people, like the Hulk. So I knew Cecil had something up his sleeve. What I didn't know he would do was pull out that nullifier in the brain at some point, to paralyze Invincible and to kind of take him down in that realm. And in the way that it was installed, we find out how they put that chip in his head. You know, it's like, wait, when did you do this? It's a very Batman-like thing. Like you were saying, Cam, it's very Batman-like, where you took these precautions to make sure he will never act out of turn. But this is what Cecil's been preparing for ever since Omni-Man went berserk. So why not? Because your life's in danger. And he says it. He goes, Mark, you know, like he tells him how uneasy he is when Mark is losing his temper. But Mark does not want to listen. He's very black and white at this point. Evil, go to jail. You shouldn't be helping the heroes. We can't let you out of prison. You're a monster. And then Cecil's thought process is, hey, rehabilitation. People deserve a second chance. Even if they've done horrible things, they deserve a chance to try to live a better life, serve their time, right? So it's a conflicting viewpoints. Just one of them is a superpowered, invincible being, and the other one is a scar-faced tactician. So it's kind of weird. It's like Billy Butcher and Homelander. One's normal, one's not. So they have to kind of balance off each other.
Yeah, and that's honestly where the episode kind of starts to fizzle. Well, not fizzle out, but it kind of ends. It kind of ends us at a question mark where we try to figure out what's going to happen in this white room. I mean, we already know that Mark is getting ready to go berserk, but how berserk is he going to go is what we try to figure out. I mean, we do get some flashes in there towards the end of to see what why do I not remember the dad's name? I want to call him Norman so bad, but that's not his name.
Nolan?
Nolan. Damn.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nolan.
See, I remember a name for one. Scott.
There you go. We needed you. Woo. Yeah, to see what Nolan's doing right now. And we see that they're still on the Viltrumite ship, and he's there with Alan the Alien, who's voiced by Seth Rogen, which I still think is so funny. Because it doesn't sound like he should have this super buff character, but it is what it is. Here we are, the Alan the Alien, the Cyclops. But yeah, they're still trying to figure out like what is going to be the next plan and where not only where they're going, but they're just trying to figure out how strong Alan really is, because he's going to be like a really valuable asset in the war against the Viltrumites later on. Yeah, and that's basically where our episode kind of cuts out, and then we kind of pick right back up on episode 2. Honestly, in episode 2, I thought we were going to pick right back up in the White Room, but it gives us a twist. We kind of get a flashback to see what Cecil's life was as not a civilian, but as an agent for the organization he was working for. When I first saw the scene, I was like, who's this dude? Like, I was like, who's this kid with a mullet? Like, who is this, right? And it's funny because like Cecil, I guess he really liked that haircut because he's stuck with it, like the hair gone, but my hair gone, and I was like, I'm cutting it, but he's just like, hold on, let's hold on strong this thing. I'm like, all right, cool. But yeah, so he's talking to a girl that I believe was in a not a supermarket, but it was like a grocery store.
Holistic medicine grocery store.
Okay, holistic medicine grocery store. And he was talking to her because he got an anonymous tip about the location, right? Of, I guess, not just having, not what was like soups, I think were there, or some type of tip for his agency that something was going on there. And he starts to kind of snoop around, and he looks and he finds out that in the back there was actually a I guess like a gas bomb or like a chemical gas bomb that was in
like
the
a
back.
biochemical agent.
Yeah, like a biochemical gas bomb in the back. And it was set to detonate or for it to go off, not at that time, but at a later time. And this girl that worked there, her costume changed very fast. Okay. This is quickly. What I remember, because I was like, where clothes go? Right. I'm like, okay, what just happened? Because like it was like a snatch, and then boom, she just had she even had the mask on when she took the outfit off. I'm like, I get on her head. So that I was like, damn, that's crazy. And I don't even think she had a superpower. It was just like really good at fighting. Matter of fact, I wrote down the organization they were in. There was like the Order of Freeing Fist. That's a crazy name. But her and Nolan are exchanging, words, and she's like, oh, I thought you were
Cecil,
or I thought you didn't find the tip. And he was like, oh yeah, the code that I sent over the radio was actually a tip saying that nothing was here, means for people to come here, so they should be here soon. Yeah. So they instantly go into a fight, and I believe this is before Cecil has the power to teleport, because
correct,
during this fight scene with the girl, none of that happened. And she reveals the plan that, this chemical could kill a lot of people, but what it's going to do is it's going to create a lot more superpowers in the world, and a lot more people are going to have the ability to free themselves from this worldly thinking that, they're oppressed from right now. So he starts fighting, and then all of a sudden her brother comes out of nowhere. He had the same outfit, which I thought was wild.
Did we confirm that was her brother?
Well, I maybe I assumed that her was her brother, but I was
assumed it.
Yeah, I was like, damn, they're twins. I was like, that's crazy, because like she had the sleek, chest out part, and then he had it too, and I was like,
right,
that was wild. It reminded me of the old video game Double Dragons. I don't know if you
the Billy and Jimmy Lee. Oh,
the Billy and Jimmy Lee with the chest out in the middle and the dragon in the middle. I was like, damn, Double Dragons. With the same color outfit. When you guys saw this fight scene with Cecil, what did you think of Cecil, and how, I guess, how tough Cecil actually is as a human being? I'll start with you, Stevie.
I was surprised he was so tough, because he's just like a regular guy, right? Like,
yeah.
And he was just going up against these like super villain type people. I was surprised that he was like holding his own and stuff like that. So yeah, I was surprised by it. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, same. What about you, Damien?
My man literally tried to square up against a supervillain that's like Iron Fist.
Yeah.
And, he held his own, but then when the quasi brother / lover showed up, it was game over for Cecil, because all that shadow boxing could not prepare him for the butt whooping he took shortly thereafter. I really thought he'd actually have better fighting skills, but that's just me, but then again, we don't really get to see Nick Fury's fighting skills in the Marvel universe. So
that's true.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's just the best he could have done as an agent. So,
and I was actually surprised that he wasn't, was he equipped with a gun and a taser? Because I just remember him using the taser. Okay.
He had a gun,
so maybe he pulled out the
away.
taser second after his gun got disarmed. Okay. Because I was like, I know you didn't pull up in here with just a taser, bro. Like, ain't no way. Like, you don't got a whole pistol.
The marshals?
This agency does not mess with you. You like mall security, like it's a taser. Like, no, security. Come on. But then ensuing after that, after he reveals that, hey, the agent should be here soon, and he zapped her, and I can't remember what happened to the dude. I guess he he got whooped too. But he was basically telling him like, hey, you know, my people should be here soon. And she decides, I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna set this bomb off. And they set it off together off of kind of like a Jim Jones, let's drink this Kool-Aid moment, which I thought was crazy. And the bomb gas comes and it melts all their skin off. And they're still talking while the skin was melting. And I was like, ew.
So ill.
Yeah, I was like, yuck. That's crazy. Well, hopefully mission got accomplished. And Cecil runs over and he closes the door to try to keep some of that gas in there. And in doing so, it ends up, I believe it melted off all his skin as well, though. But they were able to save Cecil in the process, as we see later on when he gains consciousness in the hospital. And then his director at the time, who I believe is played by, who was that? Jonathan, damn, where's his name at? Hold on. I got it. I know I got it. Because he's in a lot of movies and we always ruin his name. Jonathan Banks? I believe it's Jonathan Banks.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Nope, not at all. He's played in like, a matter of fact, he was the Shocker in Spider-Man, Homecoming. Black guy. He's been in a lot of movies. We see him.
That was Bokeem Woodbine.
Is that Joaquin Woodbine?
Bokeem, Woodbine.
Because
from Jason's Lyric. Yeah.
Every movie you see him in, people be like, I don't know this guy's name, but I've seen him in a lot of movies, and he's everywhere too. And in doing so, he is the voice of the director or Cecil's director. And in this process, they're having a conversation, and Cecil basically, you know, regains consciousness. And then we kind of pan back to what's going on in the White Room still with Mark and Cecil in this little standoff. Mark has already destroyed all of the zombie robots in there, and Cecil makes a comment like, look at the mess you made, kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are unhinged. Like, this is crazy. I just tried to talk you down and calm you down, and you went completely berserker in here, which I thought was wild. So it kind of flips, and it makes you kind of look at the character of Mark like, man, is he okay? Like, is he really that dangerous? Or like, who do we have to really be worried about, Cecil or Mark? Did you ever have that contemplation, Damien?
Yes. As the episode went on, I kept thinking, oh, Mark's losing it. And like we said earlier, but when he loses it, he loses control. And it's referenced during these first 3 episodes that he is indeed becoming more like his father than he realizes. He may think because he's protecting people, it makes it okay, but we'll get to those kinds of thought processes later. But just, I see the dark side, and think about it. Dark side, right? He's turning to the dark side like Darth Vader. And then the color schematic we see in later episodes of his new costume, it's got a darker hue to it.
It does. So, it does. That's true.
So I saw the insanity happening because remember, he's very black and white about villainy versus heroism. And it wasn't until he flew off and tried to get the thing out of his head by going back to HQ, again, the Guardians to like be on his side. That's when all hell broke loose, and can't get to that. That's when I started to realize, oh, Mark's too far gone at this point.
Yeah. What about you, Stevie? Did you ever contemplate like who was really the good guy and who's the bad guy in that scene?
Yeah, of course. I feel like, definitely. And I do feel like before we started filming this right here, I did think that Mark is getting darker. Like he's turning a little bit more like his dad. And then and later when we get up to that part, I definitely see there's going to be some kind of divide.
Yeah.
Between them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I feel like, you know, Mark is really starting to lose his humanity as he goes along in this episode or throughout the whole entire season. You know, like you said, we do start to see him as a darker individual, and now that, you know, he can't really decide of who's good and who's bad and in his own right, because when you look at it, I mean, as a superhero, you feel like you're always doing the right thing, right? But sometimes, as we see in the later on, that sometimes there's more to a story than you see on the outside, you know, which I thought was a really great episode. We're gonna get to that in a little bit though. But probably my favorite one so far. But yeah, like Damien said though, that Mark decides to kind of bust out and escape the White Room and decides to run to the Guardians HQ, where he's trying to get this earpiece that's been implanted by Cecil in season 2 after he had that crazy fight, I believe, with like one of the kaiju giant monsters. And in the recovery process, they decide to plant another contingency plan inside of Mark's head that had the exact same frequency as that monster that was messing with his hearing. And in this episode, we get to figure out also that the way that you can slow down and stop Soups is by messing with their nervous system, I believe, right? I think somebody they said that in this episode or another one that's the only way you can defeat him is messing with their nervous system. So now we know everybody's got a weakness at this point.
Yeah, I think it was like when he was fighting that crab or something, right? There was like a sound.
Yeah.
And it was like that was the same thing that he put in his ear.
Yeah, man, hearing aids, they're just not good for you. So the Guardians are basically attacked also by the robots that are brought to the HQ from Cecil. The Guardians actually help Mark in this sense because, I mean, that's their friend. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what the situation is, they trust him at this time, opposed to Cecil. But we start to see that right now lines are going to start to get drawn. And it seems that a lot of the younger crowd that, had an upbringing with Mark are starting to, I guess, not really like the way things are going, or either how the older individuals are just ready to accept things as they are, right? They want to be able to have more of an opinion and be able to really do the right thing instead of just going along with, the status quo of what things are. When we see that the younger, I guess, team is breaking away from the Guardians, do you think later on we'll be able to see them back together at some point? I'll start with you, Stevie.
I think maybe eventually, but I also think this is the thing I was talking about, that I feel like they're setting up like a divide. Like it feels like that I could totally see this going into a way where it's like a Captain America Civil War type thing. Yeah. Like it because one side believes one thing and the other one believes another thing, and I could just totally see them clashing over that. Like I could totally see it. Like I don't know anything from the comics or anything like that, but like I could totally see like this season not having like maybe a villain, and maybe they're clashing with each other.
That would be yeah, that makes sense. What do you think, Damien?
This is playing out in animated form, boomers versus Gen Zers. And that's exactly how it felt. It's just a divide of two different generations. You got one hand, trust the government, and the other hand, you can't tell me what to do because you're not my real dad kind of thought process. So, and to Stevie's point, yes, this did feel exactly like Civil War. And I think the general theme of these first 3 episodes is about the perspective of who's good, who's not, what's good versus what's not, and those gray areas. And I can see with Teen being the rebellious, like, you can't tell us what to do, we're gonna save the world on our own terms. It's gonna breed some interesting conflicts going forward, because even when the teams were splitting apart, when they chose their sides, so to speak, there was still some trepidation on both sides of like, are we really doing the right thing long term? You know, and one of the last things Immortal says is they'll come back. Like Scarface, they always come back. So
I mean, he's probably, as an Immortal and been through it, he's done this song and dance several times. So for him, it's like, they'll always come back type thing. And I think the straw that actually broke the camel's back for them to actually disband, I think, was Darkwing actually got added back to the team. And I think a lot of the younger individuals who know Mark and felt like, they can kind of relate to all the things he's been through, because I think everybody on the team has had some type of crazy traumatic event happen to him. They kind of coincide with how he's feeling. And like you said, the older individuals are just like, tough it out, you know what I'm saying? You'll be all right, you'll be okay. They're not really into talking about what happened to them, or their feelings at all. What are those? I'm gonna go to the barber shop and I'm be good. That's how they feel. Like, I'm like, all right, dang, that's kind of wild. So it's kind of crazy. So just to see that those two different generations, like you guys said, separating. It is very strange. But also while all this is going on, of course we get flashbacks, or not flashbacks, but we get to see into Debbie's dating life.
Yeah, I'm so happy for Debbie.
Debbie's doing the thing.
Yeah, Debbie is 2 for 2 right now on dates, man. And when is she? I mean, she is a realtor by day and then a mom to 2 superheroes at night, or even during the day as well, because they do that during the day. But she's basically holding in this secret that she can't tell, not really her official boyfriend, but who she's dating. I guess he's like a coworker before this. Paul.
They've been coworkers for years, and then they decided to date. Right.
Yeah, and now he's like, I had my eye out for you, and now they're starting to go on dates a little bit more frequent. So things seem to be ramping up and getting a little bit more serious. But at the same time, I think she still has Nolan in the back of her head. It's kind of hard to forget a superhero when you date him. I'm pretty sure about that. And also the fact that we know that Nolan is still alive. Well, correct. Do they know Nolan is still alive though?
No, we do.
But they think Nolan surrendered himself for execution, right? I believe.
Debbie's story is that he died.
He died. Okay. He did. Okay. So saying that, if Nolan comes back, what do you guys think is going to be Debbie's reaction with Paul? I'm going to start with you, Stevie.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Well, I feel like she's torn. I feel like she is torn because she's like, even though I feel like she does miss like her previous husband, but she still is like upset over the things that he did and things like that. So I don't think she would like drop everything and go back to Nolan. But I could definitely see some questions, like questioning it maybe. Yeah, like you know, the ex comes back, like asking you back type thing. What do you do? Like, so I could see that.
What do you think, Damien?
I think that's exactly it. You know, we, the audience, are thinking of that moment, but if it happens, Debbie's probably thinking, 1, I thought you were dead. 2, you tried to kill the world. 3, I'm dating somebody, and he's the polar opposite of you. You know, and knows me on a personal level because we've been coworkers for so long. So, and also a small wrinkle is that dating a normal human is a semblance of normalcy for her because all she's known is superhero life, being a wife, being a mother. We see how she talks to Oliver all the time, like she's the boss. You know what I mean? So if Nolan comes back, I could see her still standing her ground and saying, no, you ain't gonna walk in here just like that and expect me to just take you back. So
and he also has a kid with somebody else too.
Like,
yes,
he does.
Literally taking care of it.
It's her kid now. You think about it. I mean,
that's true.
It's her baby because he can't take her. I mean, he can't take
raising the step kid. The secondary kid.
She in 2 times over, bro. Like that's it. You locked in. So I don't know. I don't know. I think when he come back, she gonna be like, maybe. You know, I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna go, but like, I mean,
not right away.
Right away, but it's gonna take some warming up too. You know, he gonna pull up with the Boyz II Men, and he gonna forge a ring from something, or you know, who knows? Like,
he's gonna have the boom box outside the window.
Boyz II Men on Invincible. Everybody be like, Boyz II Men on Invincible. That's crazy.
I will say this about Debbie's dating life, even though we're loving it so far and interested in it, the wine was flowing and she got loose with the lip.
Yeah, she did.
Talking about her backstory and like, hey, Nolan's really not dead and my sons are superheroes. It's like, why did you? The whole point of a secret identity is to keep it a secret.
Right.
Yeah.
Why are you just blabbing it out? Even though you're on like maybe a month full of dates with this guy? Come on, Dad, be smarter than that. I know you're lonely, but geez.
She probably felt vulnerable, honestly, because like, I mean, the only person she's had to or been able to confide to is Nolan, and confiding to Mark is not the same as confiding to someone, you know, you care about or you're with, you know what I'm saying? That is on your same mindset and age level and stuff like that. So it can be kind of lonesome. So she probably felt or had a moment of, you know, I don't know, like she just felt like I gotta talk to somebody about this, you know, because like we do realize, I mean, Damien, as you know, that like Debbie does not get her emotions out. She gets them out by herself while she cries and drinks wine, but she's never like talking to someone.
She doesn't have an outlet. Correct.
Right. There's no outlet for her because she's the outlet for everybody. I mean, she got a baby by her husband on her doorstep like a couple months ago, who's now about to be a preteen. Her son just dropped out of college, and he obviously about to turn to Darth Vader in 3 episodes. And her boyfriend Paul, he's a realtor losing his hair. He said that. I heard him say that. So it's tough. It's tough, man. I don't know, but
by the way, Paul, that was a lie. You was not losing your hair, sir. Your hair,
his hair
looked had a perfectly
I was like, I don't see a hole in your hair.
Stop that. Where are you thinning?
Yeah, he's lying. Or the Rogaine is real. One of the others. So I'm like, you full of crap.
Maybe
Paul.
It's just starting. It's not all the way there.
Don't
he's losing a few strands.
It's not like Hogan bald, but it's not Cecil bald. But it's starting to.
Yeah, listen. If you're not Cecil, you're fine. It's okay. Like don't tell people that. We would have never known, to be honest with you. But yeah, so while this is going on, there's another relationship that's still trying to find its ground, or where its base point really is, and it's Mark and Eve. So I mean, eventually Mark goes back and kind of apologizes for rambling on and blabbing that her future self told him to date her, but now he really wants to date her current self, and the future self doesn't matter. That was confusing. Y'all watch the episode and you'll be like, yeah, that is very
you get
confusing.
It if you watch it.
And you'll understand what I'm saying. But he eventually tries it again and decides, you know what, I'm really gonna ask her out this time. And surprisingly, she don't really put up much fight. She's just like, okay, like cool. When you guys heard that, did you think like there was gonna be more to it? Like she might send him through a couple hoops and loops before he can actually get an opportunity and shot with her? I'll start with you, Stevie.
Not in regards to that. I feel like that I feel like I wasn't expecting more. I feel like she does like him too. Yeah. And I feel like she's interested in dating him. I think I think she felt humiliated. I think that's what she said too. She felt humiliated that the other Eve like was waiting for him.
Right.
Like basically to ask her. And that's why she was old and still waiting for him to ask him. Right. So I feel like since that happened and the future self was waiting for him for that long, like I feel like that gave her to be like, okay, I'll date you type thing. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What do you think, Damien?
You know, it's funny. It's the direct opposite of what happened in our previous conversation just now about dating. It's like when Nolan coming back and Debbie like, I'm not taking you back. I would have thought Eve would have been a little bit more, I don't want to say antagonistic, but just a little bit more protective based on all the rumbling, bumbling, stumbling that Mark did in that beginning process. But chemistry, they admit to having it. They admitted to liking each other. So they lived the life. Remember, that's the whole reason Mark's last relationship ended, because there was no commonality of the life. So it made it easier for each other to kind of be that person for one another. Because remember, before they went to battle the rock monsters and the centipedes, Eve tells him, like, I got your back, but that doesn't mean I want to date you. Like, I care about you, but we're gonna put a pin in this because you're not boyfriend material just yet. So something along the line changed between episodes where, now she's like, let's give it a shot. Sure, why not? So,
I think I'm actually surprised that she kind of let her guard down. I mean, very quickly, especially after him kind of giving away I mean, not the real reason, but part of the reason why he, wanted to make them a item or a thing. But I think also it's herself not wanting to miss out on, I'm not gonna say opportunity, but like that chance to be with somebody you really care about as well, So it's like, what's it gonna hurt? We're two superheroes. We obviously they said it in the show, like we both know the life like this. Nobody's gonna understand the life of being a superhero unless you're with a superhero, which is, like you said, a contrast between Nolan and Debbie's relationship, because Debbie can kind of try to understand what Nolan's going through and all the things he faces, but not on an actual physical, I've been through it, scene is the only time she can really understand it. But she did get her arm broken, so maybe. I don't know. What are you gonna say, Stevie?
Oh no, also I think like didn't they like each other since season 1 too? But they couldn't.
Yes, because she was dating Rex at the time.
Yeah, and they couldn't do it. So I also
Yeah.
feel like that could be another reason why, like I was agreeing with what you said, like take the opportunity, I guess, to see if it would work.
Yeah, no, it makes sense because I mean, obviously, even Rex is like pushing for them to be in a relationship, which is like, you're the ex, bro. Like,
and a douche.
Nobody says that. Nobody says that, bro. Like, chill out. Like, what you really don't like her? Like, we try to set her up to get beat up? Like, what's going on? Like, this is crazy. Like, what's happening here? But then doing so, that's where our episode 2 kind of fizzles out and starts to end. Was there anything in episode 2 that you guys want to point out that we might have missed on?
No, I think we hit all the good points.
Yeah,
I think we did. Yeah.
And now
let us know in the comments below if we forgot.
Yeah, let us know if we might have missed anything.
Oh, does it? The ending part, when he was the director, he meets Omni-Man too.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did miss out on that part. So we kind of get another flashback into the life of Cecil.
And oh my God, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, we get to see the first moments where he becomes director of the organization that he's in, because I think the director that he was in charge of sent him to jail because that director had the same opinions as Cecil has now, which is kind of grown on him because he's like, he had a quote in here that I wrote down. It says, you could be a good guy or you could be the one that saves the world. You can't be both. And that's exactly what he learned. And now he kind of tried to put that to instill it into Mark, because that's what the director taught him. And for him not going along with the director, he got sent to jail. He ended up turning the jail around. And
wait a minute, that's not why he went to jail. Say why he went to jail.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you explain.
The reanimated Doublemint twins, the Wonder Twins.
The Free Fist.
Yes, they were doing what we saw Darkwing 2 do in the present time, which is aiding the agency in a life or death battle kind of situation. So Cecil is stuck in his ways, how Mark feels now, which was what Cecil was.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, okay, bong, put 2 in both their domes. And then he got sent to jail.
Like, damn.
And while in jail, and you'll talk about what he did in jail. But the fact that the previous director was willing to still offer him the job.
Yeah.
Even though he's a criminal.
Yeah.
Kind of goes against what Cecil thinks in the current moment. Like, oh, I deserve to be punished. I don't deserve a reward. And then the director's telling him, no, you're my handpicked replacement. All you got to do is say yes and you're out of here. But go ahead.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, great. Thank you. I appreciate you pointing that out because that completely slipped my mind, which is a huge point into the making of Cecil and why he is the way he is now, due to the upbringing of the other director. But yeah, while he's in this prison that had like this huge mortality rate, due to it all being with these, like, it reminded me of like
Arkham.
I want to call it. Yeah, like I want to say Iron Heights, or I want to say like some crazy lockdown prison, like Bell Raven, like what's it called, right? Where like all supervillains are there, and they're basically just like plucking each other off left and right if you're in the wrong cell with the wrong person. And Cecil kind of goes in and he kind of reforms and reshapes the way that the villains think. They didn't really give us any type of details into how he really did that, but he was just able to get it done because I mean, one, he is a leader, and hence why he got picked as a director, because people listen and follow when he talks. And basically, like you said, the director came in and handpicked him as the replacement for this job, and Cecil's free on the outside. Even though, I mean, if you think about it, Cecil was a villain because he shot and killed the Free Fist people. He became a product of what he didn't want to support. Correct. Because he ended up being a reformed villain himself, and now he's a director. It's like, all right, full circle, you know what I'm saying? Which I thought was crazy. And I believe that's where our episode kind of fizzles out after the whole conversation. And she says yes to the dress conversation with Eve and Mark. And then we kind of peel off to episode 3, which I thought was probably my favorite episode out of all of them. This one kind of kind of, I mean, it kind of did some heartstring moments where it had you kind of have much more sympathy and kind of think more about why villains do the things they do. Correct. Right? I mean, I think the category of villain is such a vague term. Now that I look at it, it's like, wow, like why did that person do that? You know, like, I mean, people just don't. Well, some people do. I'll take that back. Some people do bad things just for no reason. But a lot of people that do bad things, they have a reason behind it because they don't have any type of outlet. And I think, I'm not gonna say I'm not being a minority. I think we can all relate to, you know, the whole entire experience growing up, and a lot of people that had to take a different path to be able to get or do certain things to get where they wanted to be, and it always didn't turn out the way they projected it or thought it was going to. But they did it in a way that, you know, it was completely silent. Like that whole entire like 10 minutes that we watched, it was a relationship between two male homosexual super villains that were basically trying to rob a bank. And they had this whole thought process after the first bank robbery attempt went wrong that, you know what? Well, if we just go get a job, you know, like, all right, I look across the street, maybe I'll try to, you know, be a contributor to my society and help out, you know. And it gives you the question of like, what happens when the society doesn't love you back as much as you love it, you know? When you guys were watching the scene, and you know, I'm not gonna go too much in detail because I feel like people got to watch this. Like, it's just so good that I don't
have to feel it.
I want to spoil it, but I ain't gonna spoil all of it for you because it's just that good to watch. Damien, when you're watching it, what did you think about this scene where you're seeing these guys trying to just make it, you know?
It was so gut-wrenching to watch that montage play out. And, you know, pardon me for saying it like this, but it was beautiful. That was just the best way to describe that 10 minutes. It was just beautiful. It showed the up and downs of a relationship, right? So that's cool. And then you have, like you said, Cam, the reasons why some people potentially might turn to a harsher reality to cope with life or to navigate through life. And we don't know how much time passes at first, but if you're a keen eye, you see something with plants and, you know, the changes and things like that. That's how you can see how people can change in a certain amount of time. But I would, this isn't hyperbole. I really mean this. You need to nominate that 10-minute stanza for some semblance of an award.
It was really good.
Because if the internet can talk about Up being one of the greatest romances, the first 10 minutes of Up, this is right on that level. Right there. It was like, oh, tearjerker, my emotions. What am I feeling? This is supposed to be a superhero show. Like, it was so well done. And goes back again to what I said earlier. What is good? What is evil?
Yeah.
There's stuff in between. There's a plenty of gray. There's a why. Except for the people like you mentioned, Cam, burning down orphanages and, you know, killing
I don't know about them.
But, you know, I don't know about them cats. But this kind of it was beautiful. I'll just leave it at that. Y'all have to watch it. Y'all have to watch it.
Yeah. What did you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I agree. You guys have definitely something to really take in and to really watch. I also like the fact that this is like probably the only part of the episode where there's no dialogue. I love when things have no dialogue because music could do so much in a scene that to make it feel more emotional. So that part I really like about that. And I do agree. It shows like the gray area between being a bad guy or being a good guy. There's so much factors like your environment, your things going on around you that factor into why you do the things that you do. And I feel like it mirrors a lot in real life, and especially what happens to them like after. That mirrors a lot in real life of like, not to get like too political, but like with cops and things like that and what they do, you know. So definitely emotional on that standpoint too.
I completely agree with the last statement for sure, because it just seems like sometimes the people you think are good can sometimes not ask the right questions to figure out what the actual problem is, you know, and take more action than they should, and then, you know, it's a whole entire thing. And Yeah, it was they did such a great job. I can't wait for everybody at home to watch it. That's probably as much as I'm going to talk about it, because I'm really excited for everyone to really be able to take it in. I know this is a recap and a spoiler.
Yeah,
it's too good to spoil that part.
You have to experience it. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. But in doing so, while all this is going on, now we get to see Mark is starting to train Oliver, which kind of picks right back up right after this little scene kind of ends. And Oliver is kind of, I don't want to say he's a loose cannon, but he's a kid and he just doesn't know how to, one, have some type of restraint, and two, he just wants to help, at the end of the day. It's like sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, oh, that little dumb little kid messed it up. That's what it reminds me of. It's like, why'd you do that? Or like when a kid like says something and the bad guy ends up finding them. Or I was watching some movie the other day and I think like the kids use the internet and they found the family and they end up like having to do an ensuing fight. And I'm like, that's what it is. It's like he just does these annoying little things that he doesn't know can create harm for the people around him. What do you guys think is going to be the storyline for Oliver as we go forward in this whole entire season? I'll start with you, Stevie.
Kids having that much power is really scary. Like, because kids are so impulsive. Like, they really don't know. And sometimes with them, like, things could be black and white because they don't understand, the in-between areas. Because I know he's talking about, like, he feels like a lot of viewpoints of, like, Omni-Man, like, oh, this is a bad guy. Bad guys need to be punished type thing. And just that is scary alone. Because it's like he doesn't know anything yet. And I could totally see, like, him being more, since he's so young, like I could see him being turned to like the bad side of things. Like, because Mark is turning, but Mark is also older. Yeah. And he's experienced life on Earth a lot more than Oliver has. Yeah. So he doesn't know a lot of things. So I feel like he's more susceptible to like manipulation in the sense, like, or being told what to do. Yeah. Especially if it's like from like it like scenario, like if it's the Vulturemites or something like that get a hold of him, like he could be more like them. Yeah. Maybe try to get him what Mark's supposed to do.
Yeah, he would definitely be like, I'm purple, but I go with y'all. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Come on, fam. What do you think, David?
Let me just preface this saying that Oliver is my least favorite character this season so far. I don't hate kids, just saying, like, he's just no. But I agree with what Stevie just said. Just he can turn. I'll put it in wrestling terms. The heel turn can come faster for him than it can for Mark. Yeah. Because he's susceptible and he could be manipulated, like you said. Kids are moldable in that age bracket. They don't really know right from wrong in the grand sense. Bad guys punished, like you said, right? Bad guys get punished. So as much as he's trying to help and be a good little brother to protect his brother, it's like Scrappy-Doo. You just keep getting in the way. So, and multiple times throughout this episode, people are telling him, go home, stay out of it.
Yeah, I know.
Even Debbie just trying to get him to understand, just because you have powers doesn't mean you exhibit them over people. All life is precious. And those lessons are important when we get to certain parts of the episode. But man, Oliver, you need to just relax. I know you're a preteen half Viltrumite, but whoa, this man needs to chill out for real. Yeah.
I think we were talking about it, or it was a Stevie that said it. It was like, man, he could turn into a Brightburn. I think you said that, right?
Yeah, Stevie did say that. Yeah, Brightburn.
Just watching that episode, and I'm like, man, no wonder he has like a special tutor. Can you imagine him going to school and like getting a bad grade and being like, that teacher's gone. Like he'd probably lose his mind and get a D. So I was just like, man, definitely a lot of responsibility with all that power that he has, and he just doesn't know how to handle it just yet. But yeah, as the episode starts to pick up, we start to see that Eve is starting to she's starting to come into her own. We have a lot more dialogue and a lot more conversation about Eve than we've ever had, I think, in prior seasons. And we get to see a lot more glimpses opposed to when we saw the miniseries of Adam Eve. And now we get to see into her life with her parents and how that relationship is developing. And now she decides, you know what, I want to go back to school, but I want to move in with my parents. Mm-hmm. And of course, they're going to have some rules because they don't like the fact that I have these powers. And, you know, I do use them for the greater good. I mean, I don't think they're mad about the greater good part. They just don't like that their daughter has powers. Like, that's not really her fault, but it is what it is. And in doing so, while she's going back to school, because I think she's going to school for as a
architecture, no?
Architecture, right? Because she can create things. That's her power. So they were like, man, I mean, that makes sense for that to be, you know, your job at the end of the day. Why not use it? She bumps into oh my God, Amber. I almost forgot her name. Bumps into Amber, and she decides to tell Amber that, hey, me and Mark are dating. I'm not sure. She hasn't seen Amber in months. Not sure why she jumped from the first conversation to be like,
well, to be fair, they were having girl talk before that. They were to play catch up and stuff like that. So
so things probably pop up when they had that conversation, though. But are you surprised that Amber took it so lightly? I'll start with you, Damien.
Yes, because I was surprised because last season she was in tears, like, well, how do we do this? What do we do now? She damn near died, you know? So for her to be so, it's okay. I always knew you two would wind up together. Wait, last season you were all talking about you was in love. I want to make this work. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, but I met this guy.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden it's like, forget Mark. You know, I met this dude on campus. Like, oh, okay, so we're monkey branching already in Invincible. I see, got it. So I was surprised, but then again, like you said, it's been a couple of months. So she's processed her breakup grief. She's dealt with it, hopefully, and she said it was okay. But I was taken aback by the whole "c'est la vie."
It's college too, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Okay.
High school, you know, probably didn't mean that much.
Stevie, what did you think about it?
You know, I feel like a lot of, even though she was upset like last season from what you guys were stating about them breaking up, I also I feel like people could can process breakups differently.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's been a couple of months and she did meet somebody. Best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody, maybe, you know. So, you know, she probably is just over it. You know, I could totally see that happening. But I'm interested to see what happens later, if she's gonna be continuous and how that's gonna factor in later.
You know, I never really thought about that. Like, will we really have, or will there be a reason to see Amber again? You know, I never thought about that. Because I can't remember if she shows up periodically in the comic at all, but I feel like this might been our last little stint really seeing Amber. I think she might
really
kind of just go off, and I mean, it's not going to be a spinoff of Amber, I can tell you that now. But I mean, you never know. You never know at this point.
So you're saying she might have just been a growth device for Mark?
Yeah, it could have been. Could have been like that, you know, a periodic time where you know, she had a purpose during that time in that part of Mark's life. But now, you know, we're not looking through that glass window of her. So
but why bring her back though?
I know maybe it was just a, you know, changing of a guard type thing, you know, to have someone to get revenge on. Maybe a change of a guard, okay, you know, hey, by the way, and then now they can kind of peel out that character to be okay, now we have a new lead role as the love interest. We can kind of push that a little bit more opposed to the ex, you know. I don't know. It's always good. It's all good theories, though. I think I think we're on the right path. We should be writers. They could just throw us in there. At this point.
Give me a job.
There you go.
Suck it, ChatGPT. I could write better than you.
So now we kind of peel in, and now we get to see that what they're called the X Guardians, or more so the teen team, is now finding their own base. Right, they're going back to the teen base instead of the location that they were at. In doing so, I mean, they're still trying to figure out what their purpose is or where they want to be as a group, or what their job will be. Because I mean, of course, they're not going to be called on by Cecil and their team. They're just going to have to figure out how they can work on their own. Do you think there's going to be a purpose, or do you think now that they really don't have a way to have their regular same resources and full-time job and, not getting paid for this at this point, do you think it's going to be more of an incentive for them to go back and join the original Guardians? I'll start with you, Stevie.
I could see that happening, but I could also see them trying to do their own thing. Yeah. Like, it gives them incentive to do their own thing and maybe do crime fighting on their own.
Right.
Or again, try, I feel like there's going to be something that, I still feel like there's going to be that divide. There's going to be that Captain America Civil War thing that's going to happen. And there's going to be something that happens that makes them go against the other team on the other side. Yeah. So I could see it going either way. Either they're going to go back or they're going to try to do their own thing.
No, that makes sense. What about you, Damien?
Yeah, when money's tight, you better go back to mommy and daddy if you can't afford to live. But in this situation, because they're the teen team, right? Teen Titans, pretty much, without the resources of Batman to back them up. So it's one of those things where if you've watched Young Justice, the Outsiders were operating outside of the Justice League and doing their own thing. And this is what I can see them being, their own thing, but with an added wrinkle down the road, potentially, of Mark being their leader, if he doesn't do a full-fledged heel turn. So I could see that happening. I do see conflict within the group at some point, especially with Giant Girl and I forget the robot guy's name, but Monster Girl and the robot guy. But I can see one of them going back to the original house, so to speak.
Right.
So I think it's a lot of growth. Again, we said at the beginning of this, this broadcast, growth of characters. Yeah. I can't stand Rex. If this helps him grow, if it makes him put a shirt on and a towel on, and he starts to act like a reasonable adult, then I'm all for it. Yeah. But at this token, I just want to see the type of shenanigans they get into.
Yeah. No. I completely agree as well.
I don't want them to go back.
I do feel like...
right. Me either, because it's the kid going back home.
Same. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I would love to see them make it on their own, but I also feel like that that funding and those resources for being now what is like a freelance, superhero is going to be tough. Because I think about when we go back to the first episode where Rex was complaining about his middle finger not working and all this money that wasn't being put into, his arm being fixed.
Yeah.
Now he ain't got any of that. So it's all right, well, unless, the robot can end up helping you and fixing this problem all the time, then he might be the first one to go back. I'll be honest with you. So I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. But again, we get to kind of peel back into this episode and we get to see more of Debbie's relationship. Yeah. This is when Debbie decides to spill the beans and tell Paul that my kids are superheroes. I guess we're not surprised. We already kind of talked about it that we're not surprised that she did this because we understand, I think her intentions were coming from a kind place. But do we think that Paul might be some type of threat later on that could kind of send a little wrench in this situation? I mean, we talk about contingency plans from Cecil, right? Mm-hmm. What if Paul isn't who we really think he is? What do you think, Damien?
What if he's a snitch? Yeah,
what if he's a snitch, or what if he?
Thought of.
We've already seen people take off Viltrumite beards and be like, "I'm a Viltrumite," so I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, so I had that thought process go through my mind. I said, "Oh, he's a plant, maybe by Cecil or like a mole for Cecil."
Yeah.
To get close to Debbie so that they can get closer to Oliver because Cecil does want Oliver under his wing. So I could see that happening. Right. I'm just really curious, going back to the question we asked earlier, when Nolan shows up, how does Paul react? Because remember, Paul was like, whoa, hold on. This is a little bit too much for me to be taking on this information's a little intense. Right. So, maybe Nolan will intimidate him or kill him. And then that's how Debbie and Nolan wound up being back together. But I'll be interested to see if he is indeed who we think he is.
Same. What do you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I could see that happening too, that he could be a plant. But also it's like he knows like their secret identity in a sense, and like in a lot of like superhero like type media, like usually if you know their secret identity, it's not good for that person that knows.
No.
So right, I could see him kind of also being in danger himself, even if he's not like a plant or an agent or turned or whatever. Like I could totally see him like being a liability in this sense, because he also knows. And that could be either way. It will be really heartbreaking for Debbie, because I could totally see him, maybe he gets killed because he knows that they're who they are. Or if he is a plant, like I could see her getting heartbroken again because she can't trust anybody, at that point. She can't trust her first husband. She can't trust the guy that she was dating. And even like in season 2, like she was having such a rough time before, like trying to get close to people, because when people found out that she was married to Omni-Man, like when she went to that group, they were like, oh, don't come here no more. Like, we don't want you. Yeah, so
right, like that's crazy.
It was hard for her to find people to connect with. So I hope none of those things happen for her, but I can see it happening.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can, I mean, it was just a thought that kind of popped into my head, like, oh man, what if everything here is like smoke and mirrors. It seems like the theme of this episode, of this season. So it seems like, the people that you think you can trust are usually probably the ones that you probably can trust the least. But speaking of, I guess, trust or people that are in debt, we find out that Multipole actually had a debt to one of the gang leaders or one of the crime bosses actually in the city. And I believe there's a process where Multipole is about to probably join the team and probably get reformed. So I think the gangs are trying to get that debt back, and there's not going to be anything to be able to surprise it. I mean, he don't have the money, let's be honest here. Like he probably doesn't. And we know that his dad or one of his relatives works for Cecil, because in the first episode, he told Multipole like, hey, he's coming. So that's how he knew where to find Rex to get revenge. What do you guys think going forward is going to be the theme for Multipole? Will he decide to probably be a good guy, or do you think he's probably going to change pace and probably go straight back over to the bad side? I'll start with you, Stevie.
I don't remember that. Was I tired?
I think we were both tired. Maybe. Because I was thinking the same thing. I said, wait, that happened?
Yeah.
It did happen. I remember
it was a really brief conversation, because like the guy that is in charge of the gang is the one that can turn into stone. He originally helped, Invincible helped him defeat the crime boss because he owed a debt to him. But when come to find out, he was actually the crime boss the whole entire time. This happened in season 1. So it was quite some time back. We haven't seen this character. He's had like little parts here and there, but he really hasn't been like a full-fledged problem until now again.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember this happening at all. Oh my God.
It was really quick scene. Like it wasn't like
it was like maybe
it wasn't long at all.
Half,
it was
2
really
minutes.
Quick. Yeah. It was like a quick 2 minutes, and then like he was there. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot more of him in episode 4. For what we know. But I mean, just going off of what we know about Multipole from the first episode and how he's out for revenge, do you think he's gonna go straight path, or do you think he's gonna like divert back to his old ways?
We're gonna say divert back to his old ways right now. I gotta see more. I gotta see more Multipole. See what happens. Because I don't even remember him being in this episode.
Yeah. What do you think, Damien?
Yeah, what I remember of Multipole after the violence was that he was in prison, and apparently, to your point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's going to try to initiate or integrate himself into the reform program to get on the good side of Cecil and company, only to blow them up from the inside, kind of thing. Where probably it's going to come down between him and his sister, somewhere along the lines. With Immortal somewhere in between there, because the engagement, but. Yeah, Paul doesn't interest me as a character. So I kind of spaced out too, to Stevie's point. Like, I'm like, all right, Paul, I thought you were in jail. I thought that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're more than a bit player? Oh, okay. So I don't really care about Paul, but to answer your question, I could see him trying to integrate himself within the team and thusly breaking them from the inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It just seems like both our Paul characters are just no good. Like, they're not my favorite. You got Paul, Dayton, Debbie, and got multi-Paul.
Oh my god, yeah, there's 2 Pauls.
A lot of Pauls. There must be
Pauls.
Someone must know Paul. But so in doing so, with this whole entire prison break and the situation going on, we get to see a little bit before that Oliver gets to pick his costume. He gets to design his costume, as well as the costume designer. I forgot his name. Damn. And it's a really easy name too. Decides to give Invincible a brand new look. You know, decided to do away with the old blue and yellow duds and go into a darker look, like you guys said earlier. So his costume is revealed and it's just black and blue. I mean, it looks pretty good, but what do you guys think of the design compared to the original, though? I'll start with you, Steve.
I don't like it. I don't know. I don't like it. I like
boring.
the yellow and
Boring.
blue.
Yeah.
It's very boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, black and blue. I mean, like, he does get beat up a lot. So
That's
so
true.
thank you. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, like, I can see where they're going, where they're trying to give him like a darker costume. They're trying to give him that like Spider-Man black suit type thing when he turns into Venom type thing. You know, when he goes darker, I can see that, but I just don't like it. Like, color wise, I don't like it. I like the blue and yellow.
Yeah,
stands out more.
Yeah.
What do you think, Damien?
Just like the name he winds up picking out, it's a downgrade. Okay, so the suit for me is a downgrade, and then the name he chose to break away from it as Invincible, Omni Boy.
Oh, what's it called? Yeah, Oliver.
He's just taking balls all over the place this episode, man. Because what? No, like, come on, man. And then you got Oliver. We'll get to it, but just this part of it, I'm my own man now. It just didn't feel right as I was watching it. You know, there's still something unresolved within Mark, which we see later in the episode, that he's still not his own man, right?
Yeah.
He still has to go run home to mommy when stuff gets hard, and he needs to snuggle up to mommy to feel better about stuff. So this whole darker persona, emo, Invincible, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, same. Like Stevie said, the costume is just kind of bland. Like, I mean, it's exactly the same costume, but just different color scheme. I mean, the shades are a little darker, which makes him look more like a bug opposed to a person, I think, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, they gave him the name Invincible. Like, people think he's like a copycat of Invincible. They don't even think he is Invincible. They just think he's just some
was it
dude.
Omni Boy?
Oh,
no, that's
Omni, Kid Omni.
Okay,
that's the one
that
the kid wanted to be called.
Yeah,
I thought Invincible was what they called him in the news. Did he call
in the news? No, in the news they called him Invincible. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
what I thought.
Yeah, I was like, man, like and it's hard for superheroes. Like, I can't imagine how it would be for me to be like, all right, guys, y'all gonna call me this, because people are gonna say what they want to say. So I'm like, damn, I ain't never gonna have the right name I want at the end of the day. But yeah, and Oliver really doesn't see the problem with his name being Kid Omni Man. He's like, he's hype, right? He's so excited to show his little costume, and the costume designer is like, man, he said the O was for Oliver. I'm like, why'd you believe that? Like, his ass is not it's for Omni Man. Come on, bro, that doesn't make sense. But the costume is made, so we don't have any choice but to wear it at this point. Because, as you know, being a superhero, things are flying a million miles a minute, and if you're in costume or whatever you're wearing, you just gotta go. And that's where we take the spin in this episode, and we get to see that Oliver's powers are very unhinged. During this prison breakout, we get to see the Molar twins, man. They are just keep on coming back. Like, I'm pretty sure there's another copy somewhere else after this scene that we saw, because they pop up and they're trying to do this prison break, because I think they're actually working for the main crime boss. They never really said it, but it had to be some type of dots connected while they're trying to break into this facility. They're starting to fight the Guardians, and it just doesn't pan out how the Guardians thought. And now we see the only soups that could probably defeat them are going to be Invincible and Oliver. That's not the likely story group that we thought we were going to see. When we get to see Oliver's powers in this scene, I don't know, how odd was it for you to feel like, okay, this kid is a problem? We'll start with you, Damien.
I thought he was going to get hemmed up easily because he's a kid, because he's inexperienced in terms of fighting. You know, you can train all day long, but until you have real world fighting experience, you know, I thought that he was going to get trampled. But as the fight goes on, he does show his unhinged side. And yeah, I worry for the Earth. Even though I don't like Oliver, I worry for the Earth about him more than I could ever do for Omni-Man or Invincible. Because Brightburn, like you said, Stevie.
Yeah,
Brightburn vibes.
Brightburn. Yeah.
best reference, honestly. What do you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I worry for the Earth too. Like, already want to be called Omni-Boy is like a major red flag to me.
All the wrong footsteps. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that he could fight really good, only because like kids are they have no self-control. Like they're just like, let's go. Like, you know, kids fight all the time and stuff like that, and they don't care. Like, you know, because they're kids. They don't know anything better. You know, so it did not surprise me that he was able to fight that good. It kind of, and also with Oliver, it kind of reminds me of the kid from The Boys too, a little bit. Yeah, like it's very, very similar. And I was gonna mention that before when we were talking about him and if he was gonna be good or bad. Like I could kind of see him also having like that similar storyline, like kind of like teetering back and forth between the good side and the bad side, kind of like that kid is in The Boys. So yeah, he's gonna be a problem. I could definitely see it. I said it before, he's gonna be like a Brightburn.
Yeah, for sure.
That doesn't seem good.
Yeah, same. I definitely think Oliver, I mean, though his intentions most of the time are pretty good, his control level is just trash. So there's going to be casualties that we don't need and probably unnecessary, as we see in this towards the end of this episode. The Mauler twins' whole entire purpose, I guess, was not only to break in to this location, but they're using a satellite EMP to make all calls routed to their satellite, because they're not just villains. They're businessmen. That's what they say.
They're the worst
kind. Look at that. I was like, get that money, my boy.
We're businessmen.
That's right. I was like, damn, we about to get crypto tomorrow. It's about to get crazy. And then Oliver comes in to save the day because obviously the satellite is, well, I don't think Invincible even really knew what the satellite was going to do. I think he thought maybe it had more of a doomsday type purpose. So he just goes after the satellite and leaves Oliver to deal with the Mauler twins. They are shooting these rays or these laser ray guns that affects superheroes' nervous systems, as we find out that superheroes can be immobilized by their nervous systems being weakened. But Oliver's just a little too fast. Maybe just being a smaller stature size, he's able to kind of jump through. And one of the Mauler twins gets their jaw broken by Oliver. And that's he's probably like 50%. Let's be honest. He's like just swinging, right? He doesn't even have any type of control or form. He's just throwing his hand and it just breaks his jaw. And then we realize that Oliver is about to go bloodlust and rips through one of the Mauler twins with his whole entire body. And that's it. I mean, the Mauler twins are cooked at this point, and we get to see him. He kills both of them, but in doing so, there's more of a deeper storyline behind it, because now this becomes a teaching moment for Mark and Debbie that this is probably why kids, one, are not in the field, and two, this is why you have to teach them how to be in the field before they actually go out there, because like you said, kids are out of control when they fight. When seeing this scene, Do you think there is a moment for recovery for Oliver, or does he really seem remorseful for his actions, Damien?
No, he did not. When kids have it in their head of a certain thought process, no amount of parental conditioning is going to change the thought process that quickly. Like going all the way back to the beginning of episode 1, control, right? Good versus not good, nuance. So Oliver doesn't see the nuance of the behavior of villains. He said, hey, bad guys must be punished, like we mentioned earlier. But another thing happens where one of the Mahler twins was saying, I give up. The one with the broken jaw. He's like, I give up.
Yeah.
He surrendered. So typically when a hero, gets the villain to surrender, we take him to jail, right?
Right.
And he kills him. And that's the teaching moment, because even the Guardians were thinking, he gave himself up and Oliver still killed him.
Right.
So Oliver still has this thought process of, I have powers, I'm going to use them to protect the people I care about. Mark was in danger. It was worth it. And I don't think any amount of Debbieing or Debifying is going to kind of quell that. And I hate to say it, if this happens, the only hope to quell that is Omni-Man. The don't be me
mentor.
The don't do what I did mentality.
Right.
Yeah.
No. I mean, what do you think, Stevie?
I agree with a lot of that. Yeah, I could definitely see how Omni-Man could maybe be like, that could be a thing for him to come back to.
Yeah.
Like, that could bring him back to Earth. Because I don't know what his plan is. Like, because I know he's in the prison right now. So I don't know what his plan is, like, getting out of there.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see that being like a point to bring him back and then being his mentor. Or I could also see maybe, Invincible also trying to be his mentor too. Like set that up a bit, maybe he could try to help him. But I agree with everything that Damien said, because he did show no remorse at all. But growth, I guess we could see what happens. But I feel like Omni-Man will be able to help with that.
Yeah. It's funny how like the characters I was most excited to see was Oliver in the beginning of the season, and now I'm like, yikes.
Yeah.
Get that kid out of here quick. It is super wild just to see like the changing of the roles and stuff, which I think this season does a really great job of doing the duality of back and forth, who's good, who's bad, gray area, black and white. Like they add in so many different emotions in these 50-minute episodes that you get 3 all at the same time. So it is a lot for people to take in. I'm gonna have to go back tomorrow and watch some more. I'm gonna have to watch it again. It's just that good, because I'm pretty sure some stuff I missed in there at this point. But yeah, so while they're dealing with everything and he's having this conversation with his mom, and it seems like he's just giving her the yes, I'm gonna be a good boy, response is like, don't beat me, mom, and she's like, okay, well, pat on the head. Mark sees a spy orb in the window, and he jumps through the window and grabs it, and he stares at it and crushes it. I don't think I've ever seen this orb before in the previous seasons, from what I remember. So it seems like we're getting a new villain that's coming in the next episode or within the next 2 episodes. It does do a cutscene where we see multiple TV screens, and there's someone sitting in a large chair. We don't get to see who it is, but we just see a camera view peering over their shoulder, and I think they kind of like chuckle. They don't even say anything. From what I remember, I don't remember them saying anything. I don't have that much detail in it, but we do know this is probably somebody who's probably either going to be a force to reckon with. And if it's Angstrom Levy coming back, bro, I'm gonna be like, ain't no.
That's what I thought.
Way.
That's who
what
I
do you
thought.
guys think? What do you think? Yeah,
I thought that. I thought it was gonna be Angstrom Levy. I thought it was gonna be him, because this is his whole thing where he has like multiple. He could go through the multiverse, so that could be a different one.
Yep.
Multiverses are big. There's a lot of them, so it could be one of them. And I do think we have seen those before, because I have in my notes, I think it was in episode 2 in this season that you did see that orb before. I think I'm checking again, but
I'm definitely, I don't remember seeing it, but if you
somebody was watching them. Yes, somebody was watching them, because it was when they were on the roof. I think.
Okay.
And it was Eve and Mark were on the roof. And I think it was watching them then. And I think when they were watching them this time, they were in the house, right? And they were talking to Oliver. So it does appear twice. But yeah, I do think it's that guy. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Sterling K. Brown is too good of a character to kill off after one season, I think. So it is. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't him. What do you think, Damien?
If it's not him, then I have no idea who it could be because we knew, like, okay, so right off when it happens, you're thinking, is this Cecil? And then it does the camera pan to the Matrix guy in the chair. And I think he did say something along the lines of, I'm watching you, or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's Angstrom Levy because of multiverse theory.
Right.
You killed me in a different dimension again. So I'm going to avenge all of me to kill you and your family. So wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that would be crazy. You guys in the comments, make sure you leave a comment down below and let us know who you think is in the watching chair. I guess we're going to call it that. Is there anything else you guys want to point out about this season that we might have missed on?
Not to me. I think we've covered everything from pillar to post.
Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah.
Well, guys, let us know in the comments below how you liked episode 1 through 3 that is premiering on Prime Video, February 6th, Invincible season 3. Damien, tell everybody where you can find your information and where to check you out at.
Yeah, find me over on social media at Damien G Show across the board. That covers X, Instagram, and the like. And youtube.com/Damien G Reviews for my fledgling YouTube channel where I watch cartoons and react to them in real time.
Stevie, go ahead and give them where they can find you at.
You can find me at Stevie, and there's I think 5 underscores in my name. So you could just put that down below and you could click on that and you can follow my Instagram. I post a lot of pictures of my daily life. And then I also do stream on Twitch. So you can find me at Stevie on Twitch TV.
Cool. You guys can find me at Cam's Collection as well as at Just Cam for now on every platform, and all of our stuff will be right down below in the information. If you guys want to see more videos and more content just like this, make sure you check us out at biggoldbeltmedia.com, and we will be having weekly recaps of Invincible season 3. Until next time, peace.